O wenu hoche si gandie, wa se wenu hoye. O wenu hoche si gandie, wa se wenu hoye.
Anansi and the Guinea Bird, a tale from Antigua.
Hard times had come to the land. A terrible drought had burnt the grass and the trees. The drought had dried the big river that gave the village all its water. No one could remember a drought like this. Anansi the spider was hungry and had no food. He knew he must find a way to fill his stomach or die a terrible death. What could he do? Anansi thought long and hard, but he could find no answer. Then an idea came to him. He decided to get Father God to make a new law. The world would be a better place if people did not interfere in the lives of their neighbors, Anansi told Father God. Make a new law. Anyone who does not mind their own business must die. Let them just drop down dead. Father God considered Anansi's words, and they pleased him. He accepted Anansi's recommendation and made the new law. Happy with this new law, Anansi immediately started to make a garden on the rocks of the mountainside. He got out his garden tools, a hoe, a machete, and a pickaxe, and he started to chip away at the rock. He was pretending to cultivate his garden. Soon, Goat came walking past Anansi's garden. "What is Anansi doing?" he asked in surprise and confusion. "Trying to grow food on rocks?" But the moment he asked the question, he dropped dead on the spot where he spoke. Quickly, Anansi took Goat to his house and made a good meal of him. It was the first time Anansi had eaten in a very long while. "Well," he said, rubbing his big belly and belching noisily, "wherever you are, I hope you have learned a lesson, stupid goat. Think twice before interfering in other people's lives." The next day, Anansi returned to his garden and once again made a big show of chipping away at the rock. Soon, Pig came by, and he too was amazed to see Anansi striking at the rock with his pickaxe. "Anansi," he grunted, "trying to grow food from stone? Surely you know better than that." And like Goat before him, Pig dropped down dead on the spot where he spoke. As the days went by, many, many more animals suffered the same destiny. Buffalo, lion, vulture, elephant, parrot, hyena. Anansi caught them all in his fatal trap. They all fell for Anansi's deadly trick and ended up in his stomach. Everyone was dying of hunger, except Anansi. So while the whole land was starving, Anansi grew fat, for he had an endless supply of meat in his house. And he would have eaten all the birds and animals if Guinea Bird had not spied on Anansi and decided to turn his own trickery against him. Now, Guinea Bird was almost completely bald with just a few feathers on the top of his head. He found a horse and saddle and made a song which he practiced for weeks in preparation for his encounter with Anansi. And so it was that one morning, while Anansi was chipping away at the rock in his garden, Guinea Bird came riding past on his horse. He was singing loudly, "All boys who go to the barber shop comb their hair like me." Guinea Bird rode past Anansi in one direction, then turned around and rode past him again in the other direction. And as he rode up and down, he kept turning his bald head and singing, "All boys who go to the barber shop comb their hair like me." Anansi was speechless. "This is ridiculous. What kind of nonsense is this?" he cried as he watched Guinea Bird majestically riding his horse, turning his bald head from side to side and passing his hand over it proudly. Struggling to keep his self-control, Anansi went on chipping away at the rock in his garden. But Guinea Bird kept riding up and down the path by Anansi's garden, singing all the time. Anansi found it increasingly difficult to go on working. But he did his best to ignore Guinea Bird and his silly song. Finally, he stopped working and, leaning on his pickaxe, simply watched Guinea Bird for the rest of the morning, hoping he would lose his voice and leave him alone. But Guinea Bird went on singing as loudly as ever. What was Anansi going to do? He tried not to lose patience, but that was hard, like not scratching an itching spot. Anansi tried to stop himself from speaking, and when that didn't work, he bit his tongue, and when that didn't work, he closed his eyes, hoping that Guinea Bird would go away and his song fade into silence. But it was all in vain. Finally, Anansi looked up to the heavens and said, "Father God, I got you to make this law, but I must ask you, what does Guinea Bird have on his head to come?" And the moment he spoke those words, Anansi dropped down dead.